Okay, peeps, welcome back. So today we're going to be talking about the grayscale trusts and also some of the dividend distributions that were just announced. So with that being said, let's get it. Okay, so I'm going to start with the dividend portion first. We do not have the declaration yet for qdte and xdte, but it is coming out tomorrow, so do keep a lookout for that. So the distributions we got today was from the single stock yieldmax ETFs. As you guys know, those have absolutely plummeted over the last few days. But in my opinion, at this point, I believe that the market bottom is in. I think we're going to go higher from here. The market is just massively oversold. Once again, if you follow us on X, you would know that we posted that the NASDAQ previously on the daily time frame when the RSI hit oversold territory, both times, once in July and once in last July and this March, each time the NASDAQ just simply went higher. So I do believe we're going to see a repeat of that again, and we're going to go back to all-time highs, plus the Fed raise is coming. So Tesla, 96 cents per share here. Again, you guys got to understand whether these things go down or up, which in my opinion, they're going up from here. The volatility is how we get paid on these. So the more volatility that something has, the more it's going to pay out, which is one of the reasons why we have so much in something like NVIDIA, MSTY, and Coney or Coinbase. So anyways, 96, almost 97 cents on Tesla. We have 26 cents on OARC. So you got 83%, 33%. Apple, 35 cents, 24%. NVIDIA, $1.25, 64.5%. NVIDIA is actually massively oversold. I think it's like 30 or 40% down from all-time highs. So I suspect it's going to have a sharp rebound. It's going to go back to all-time highs. And because the volatility is still massive, I do think that this one's actually going to pay out a lot more on the next payout that we get next month. So AMZ, 30%, 47 cents. FB, 79 cents, 52%. GUI, 49 cents, 38% on GUI. Enfley, 57 cents, 43%. Coney's still paying pretty well, even though the drop was massive. But again, I do expect Coinbase to go back up. And the reason being is because, again, in my opinions, the markets as a whole, both crypto and stocks, have bottomed out, and they're going to be heading higher from here. You can see that crypto, for the most part, is already starting to recoup its losses, and I suspect that will continue and will continue to go up from here. So Coney, $1 per share is 76% roughly. MSFO, 40 cents, 25%. DSO, 39 cents, 29.5%. Zomo, 34 cents, 24%. JPMO, 37 cents, 24.6%. AMDY, 43 cents, 37.6%. PYPY, 35 cents, 25%. Squee, roughly about 64 cents, so 44.5%. Keep on going down here. So we have MRNY, 46 cents, 49.6%. Moderna is actually oversold, massively oversold, even on the daily time frame. I did check it earlier today, and I can actually show you guys here in a minute. I'll show you both NVIDIA and mRNA, and then we'll get into the actual grayscale trust. So AIYY, 35 cents, 43%. MSTY is still paying huge, massive, juicy premiums. Of course, MicroStrategy is just an insane, volatile beast. That thing is absolutely nuts. So $1.94, 95%. YBIT, 67 cents. 60% crash, which is the inverse Tesla, or inverse Tesla and Tesla in this case. 84 cents, 61%. GDXY, 58 cents, 38%. Snowflake, 78 cents, 55%. Airbnb, 79 cents, 54%. And the inverse Coinbase, $1.89 here. We don't have a payout for dips yet. We may end up picking that up. We'll just have to wait and see. But we're actually very bullish on NVIDIA. We're not bearish on NVIDIA, so we're really only looking to go long on that stock. All right, so I'm going to show you guys NVIDIA first. So we showed you not just the NASDAQ, but we're also going to show you a couple single stocks as well. So the NASDAQ is massively oversold, but also You can see NVIDIA is down massively from all-time highs. So all the way down to the absolute bottom there, 35% drop. Again, NVIDIA does have drops like this. It does happen. You can see it happened once here before, although the drop was not nearly as big, so 22% drop. If I were just to like put this line here, you guys can see that we're kind of looking for a bounce, excuse me, off of support right above this line and then start ripping to highs again. But the point I want to make here is that every single time we got too oversold, we did eventually go higher, not immediately back here, but when we had this one back here, you can see it didn't even fully hit oversold territory, and we still went massively to the upside from there. The other thing I want to point out on NVDA, you may not be able to see it so easily, but there is actually a bullish divergence here. So we have a higher high on the RSI. Basically, RSI is going up, price is going down. That generally means that a bullish move is right around the corner. So I'm going to go over Moderna now. So we do actually have MRNY. So as you guys can see, this thing has, I mean, it's dropped pretty significantly. And again, obviously, you can tell based on the chart, it looks like it was because of earnings, even though earnings was actually good. So the point I want to make here is the RSI is massively in the red. It is hugely oversold. Okay. So we did get a pretty nasty pullback here, a 50% drop. But once again, I want to reiterate the last two times that we did get oversold. We did have some nice pops to the upside. And again, we are in a, well, we were in a bullish trend. Actually, we're still in a bullish trend, truthfully, because we haven't actually broken this level here yet. So as long as we can hold that and go up from here, we are still bullish. Again, we're looking for these major swing. If you were looking for a trend change to the downside, you'd be looking for like a break of this level. So we create a lower low. We'd have to get below this to get a lower low. And then for a new all-time high, we would have to get above here to get a new all-time high. That's generally speaking what we would look for in a bull or bear trend. So in my opinion, this is still in a bull trend, even though it's down 50%. But I just want to show you guys the massive move here. So the last time that we got pretty close to oversold, you can see the ultimate move up was just insane. It was a 165% move. Even this little blip back here, which again wasn't really much, was still a pretty large move, roughly about 20%. So but we're on major support here, so I do suspect we are going to get a much larger move to the upside. Again, generally speaking, when you get a big sell-off, you get a big move to the upside. That's usually what happens. It always happens like that. So anyways, let's get into the trust now. Okay, so LTCN, this is what you guys really want to know about. So LTCN, we are sitting on this macro trend line here again. This is, in my opinion, a golden dip buying opportunity. I'm actually on the wrong time frame here. Sorry about that. But since we're on here, I want to point this out. Okay, we're oversold on the RSI and the daily. When was the last time we got oversold? Way back here in August 2023. What happened? Basically, this thing moonshot to stupid heights, as you guys can see here, 1,400 and over 1,500%. We'll just put it like that. I almost can't even measure it. The move so large. But that's the point I want to make. Last time we were oversold, that's exactly what happened. And before that, that was pretty much more or less the bear market lows. And it was the exact perfect time to buy. And if you had bought at $2 and held all the way up to here, you would have made a 27x on your money. So since we're on the daily time frame, I did want to point that out to y'all. Usually the RSI being oversold is a very strong indicator to get in. And the RSI being overbought is a very strong indicator to get out. That's usually what that means. So, again, in terms of the weekly, we're hitting this very bottom trend line here. Again, this is the lowest, I should say the most critical level of support. Do I think it's going to get below there? No. Again, I suppose if the markets were going to go lower, then it could possibly get below there. We could be looking at like this level here or this level here, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I think in my opinion, I think LTCN is bottoming out here. and I think we're going to move up from this point. How long it's going to take and what exactly is going to happen between now and it breaking $54, I don't know. So we're looking at roughly about $10 to $11 here on the lows. That would be roughly about the support area. Again, we have not confirmed below this support level. We could zoom straight back up to it. We get some kind of massive wick right off of this trend line and close back within the support. That would still be considered a bull support zone. So 13 to roughly about 15 at that support, and then 25.30 to, we'll just say roughly about 27 on resistance. 54 up there, and then at the swing high, and then of course above that 75, 100 to 135, 3 to 400, and 510 at the highs. So I'll just show you from the current support to this next support zone, assuming that it closes the week in the support zone, 35% move to the next level, 145%, and then all the way up here at the top, roughly about 400% move, so 396%, which again is still not bad. And if you guys want to know what this lower support level is, I'll just go ahead and tell you right now. So $6.60 to roughly about $8 is what you're looking at on LTCN. So BCHG, I know a lot of you guys like this one, so this one also is actually officially oversold or very close to it. The thing I want to point out here is we have only seen, basically going back throughout history, we have only seen this twice. So we saw it once here where it hit oversold on the RSI back in June. As you guys know, it went from $8 all the way up to $12. It's a decent move, 50%, but not huge by any means. And then the last time before that was at the bear market lows, December of 2022. Which I'm sure you guys can imagine what the price was back then. It was literally 40 cents a share, which is incredibly cheap. So yeah, I mean, we basically only had 2 oversold RSIs on this trust basically since the bear market lows. So we'll go over to the weekly time frame now. And I'm pretty confident a lot of these are going to be oversold. I mean, I can just kind of I'll just skim through these real quick with you guys so you can kind of see what we're looking at here. So yeah, HZEN hit oversold. ETCG definitely hit oversold on the daily. ETH oversold. FILG not quite oversold, but pretty close to this low back here, which did mark a low on the price action. And then GBAT also hit a low and is hitting critical support at the same time. Didn't quite get oversold on GLIV, but got pretty close to this low here, which again was basically a major low. G-Link definitely oversold. So, I mean, we literally haven't even seen an oversold on this one since basically, again, the bear market lows. So that should tell you how massively this thing's been getting sold off. So GSOL didn't even get an oversold on this one. But again, when we got close to these levels on the previous move down, GSOL did move up pretty substantially. So you can do with that whatever you want. I mean, GSOL is holding up basically on the hope of some kind of spot ETF. So didn't quite get one on GXLM. Again, GXLM was oversold back in August of 2023. We did get one on Mana, so this one's oversold. Again, last time it was oversold, it was all the way back here in August of 2023. This thing was only at $2, and then you guys know it went all the way up to 70, so you're talking at 35x on your money. Zcash, same thing. It did barely tap oversold. And the last time we were here was all the way at the bear market lows, which again was all the way down at $1.57. So even at current prices, you'd still be double your money. But when it went all the way up to the swing high up here, it was more than a 5x. So roughly about 75-80% of these did hit oversold on the daily time frames. Okay, so weekly time frame, we're still within the wedge on HZEN. Pretty much, we haven't confirmed below the support, so we're just looking at these two zones here as kind of buy areas. So it's going to be 250 to 290, roughly about, I'd say about 390 to 420 on support, and then 690 to $8 at resistance, 10.5 at the highs. The falling wedge is a bullish pattern. As you guys know, the target is the top of the wedge, so at 1050. So just to get back up to the top support here, roughly about a 70% move, assuming that we tap the bottom of the wedge, which does often happen with these kinds of patterns. 224% move, and then roughly about 319% respectively. ETCG, it's possible we may close back within this support by the end of the week. I mean, again, it came down and then it's literally going back up. So you can see these wick lows back here, where that was kind of a breakout point before we ended up ripping to the moon up here. So again, that's probably likely why that's being held up at that price. So 860 to 990 is going to be the support, and your resistances here is going to be 13 to 1590, and 1760 to roughly about $20. And then below that, you're looking at roughly about 280 to 510 as the lower support, which again, I don't think it goes that low. So roughly about 83% and 132% respectively on ETCG, ETH. This one is now a spot Ether ETF, but I suppose if you wanted to buy the spot Ether ETF, you could. Yeah, I'm not really liking this gap down, but again, I do think the markets have pretty much hit a bottom here, so I don't really think this is going to go much lower. You guys can kind of see this candle over here is pretty much, well, not even at the low of this candle. It was held even above that, so it's hard to gauge exactly why this thing bounced where it did. I suppose maybe like this red candle wick right here, probably maybe that held as support. I'm not sure, but I'll basically just say that you can look at either one of these levels, anywhere from the top of this support to the bottom of this support, as a potential buy zone here, since it's kind of in no man's land at this point. So $11 to $15.60. 2350 to 2860 as potential buy areas. And then again, the target for the top of the cup and handle pattern is all the way up at 46. So just going from the current price, you're looking at roughly about 33% and then about 118% respectively. If it does get down here to these lows, which again, I don't think that's going to happen at this point. So 108% to roughly about 238%. And again, the reason being is because what we saw was a flash crash. Okay. We don't see those often. I think it was like 2020 and in 1987 or something like that was the last two times we saw one. So, quick drop, quick recovery. That's usually how this goes. All right. So PhilG, it's possible we still close within the support here. So 37 to 40. Below that, $5 to $12. I don't think it goes that low, but if you're worried about it, then it may not be a bad idea to hedge your bets by having some cash on the side. Again, that's not financial advice. You're free to do what you want to with your own money. So 1,000% move roughly from that support, and then below that, roughly about 4,800%. So pretty crazy moves. GBAT, we're sitting in the bottom support here. I am not sure how this is going to progress over the next few days. Again, the markets are still recovering. If we get a strong recovery, like this thing, like the markets really start ripping to the upside, we could actually close back within this zone up here by the end of the week. We'll just have to wait and see. So as of right now, 450 to 510 is support, 790 to $10 is resistance, and then 32 all the way up at the highs. So you're looking at roughly about 110% and then 586% respectively. Again, the reason why this is resistance here is because we did have a couple candle closes on the weekly below it. That's generally speaking how we kind of treat these. Like this was a hammer candle fake out. It closed back within that support, so it remains support at that point. But if we get a candle below it, then it obviously changes. So GLIV, this thing's sitting perfectly on support. You can see this is major support, previous resistance throughout the bear market. Now we're testing it. So that's 1150 to 1460, and then 80 all the way up at the highs. So from the current price to the highs, 332% move. And then from basically the support zone all the way up to the all-time highs up here, 541%. And again, I'll be coming out with another video with the updated Fibonacci retracement levels for you guys, so don't worry about that. We will be talking about new all-time highs because, again, I do not think that Bitcoin is done with its bull market cycle. I just don't think so. There's way too many things that point out to me that tell me that we're probably just at the beginning of the most, well, not even at the beginning of the most parabolic phase of the Bitcoin bull run, because again, the Fed's got to cut rates. That's bullish for markets. The $6 trillion in money markets are going to move out of their accounts into risk on assets, which means crypto and stocks are going to pump. The big tech is going to pump, stocks are going to pump, crypto is going to pump, Bitcoin's going to pump. And again, that should roughly all kind of converge right around the end of this year, or even before the end of this year. The dollar index is going to go down. You guys know we've showed you before, the dollar index and Bitcoin have an inverse correlation. So when the dollar goes up, Bitcoin goes down. When the dollar goes down, Bitcoin goes up. And when Bitcoin goes up, all coins go up, and Grayscale Trust and the Bitcoin miners and all that stuff. So again, I'm pretty confident this is not the end of the Bitcoin bull run. So anyways, G-Link, this current level of support, so 37 to 45. If you manage to pick some up on the dip here, good job. So 65 to 85 at the resistance, and then 220 up at the highs. So from the current price to the resistance, 57% and then 314% respectively. From support down here, you're looking at roughly about 101% to 430%. Again, in order to time one of these support level zones perfectly, you basically have to be watching the charts all day, and you have to understand how to position trade. We've gone over what position trading is before. If you guys don't know what that is, go look through our channel for that, or where we talk about strategies to make money and hedge and stuff like that. I don't know what the exact video is. I'm sure you guys will be able to find it. But basically, in short, what position trading is using an indicator like the EMAs, or maybe a support and resistance for areas to get in and get out, and basically just bulk buying in mass at the bottom of support and bulk selling in mass at the top of resistance, or something along those lines. So GSOL, kind of a mixed bag here. We're back above the support zone, so I'm looking at 413 as support. Personally, I wouldn't buy this unless it got down here to 170 to 203, but we'll just, because I do think the markets are recovering, we'll just say this green line is support now. So 39%, and then all the way down here from the support zone to the all-time highs, 223% move. GXLM does still look like we want to get down to this white line. It might come down and wick down here and then boom, pop straight up from there. That could happen. I would say maybe anywhere between the white line and the bottom of these candle lows could be a good area to buy. So 25 to 28, somewhere in there. 52 to roughly about 58.50 on resistance, and then 70 up at that swing high. So just measuring it from the current price, you're looking at roughly about 115%, and then roughly about 154%. If it does come down here, which is a toss-up at this point, 137% to roughly about 180% move. Mana, so it's possible it might get above this white line by the end of the week, but I'll give you guys these different levels anyways. So 160 to 360, I don't think it gets that low, but again, I think the market dump is pretty much over with at this point. So 1050 as support, 1780 to $20 at the resistance, and then all the way up at the highs here, you're looking at $70. So the move would be roughly about 92% to 570%. Obviously, if it got down here, it would be a lot more, but again, I don't think it goes that low. Zcash, so this white line is holding, so 315 is still going to be support, and then we're looking at roughly about 440 to 510, $8 to 960, and then all the way up at the highs up there, 10, roughly about 10 and a quarter. So the moves would be 30%, 143%, 158%, and then from that white line down here, 56%, 200%, and roughly about 217% respectively. So anyways, this is the Grayscale Trust and the yieldmax single stock dividends that were announced today. Hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.